Welcome to McNulty's Book Corral. I've been digging really deep into the bookshelf, the deepest corners, the darkest corners, the highest shelf. And with this flashlight, I've been digging up some real treasures. Stuff that's coming your way real soon. James Francis Dwyer, Stewart Edward White, forgotten best-selling authors from 100 years ago. Some of those books are right back here on the hutch behind me. We're going to be getting to those books really soon, and believe me, I've got some really great stuff to talk about. But today, I decided to do something I don't do a lot of. I'm going to be talking about two contemporary authors. I don't do a lot of that, and there's probably good reason for that, but these two guys I think deserve your attention, especially if you haven't read their books. Today I'm talking about Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child, and their latest book, which is The Scorpion's Tail, which I just finished reading. It's a fantastic book, just fantastic. And after I was done reading this, I realized I really needed to do an episode about them. There they are on the back. All right, I've never met them. They are best-selling authors, and as a general rule, I do avoid New York Times best-selling authors and so forth. I don't think they need any help from me. However, I think Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child are an exception because they're so good. And I collect their books. All right, if you've been watching this video series, you know what I'm doing. You know what this stuff is back here. Those are rare vintage books. 100 years old, and we're going to get to those in the next episode. I'm really excited about Stewart Edward White, for example, who is an author that Teddy Roosevelt once said is one of the best shots he's ever met with a rifle. We're going to get to that. But these contemporary authors I've talked about here and there. I know I mentioned Alice Hoffman, Anne Rice, different episodes. Some of the Western writers, contemporary Western writers, such as Peter Brandbold. I've even occasionally hawked my own book, Trail of the Burned Man, or The Adventures of Captain Graves, or my biography on Errol Flynn. All right, but most of these videos that I'm doing are about authors from the past. But I do read contemporary stuff, and I collect it. I'm surrounded by books. Take a look at this. Here's some hardcovers. This is not everything they've published. I do have everything they've published, and there's some paperbacks. All right, these guys are so good, I buy their books. And before we get into the famous Pendergast series, I want to mention that in addition to writing books together, which is their claim to fame really was the Pendergast series, is the Pendergast series. It's an ongoing series. The new one, Scorpion's Tail, involves Nora Kelly and Corey Swanson, two characters from that series who have now been given a series of their own. And this was a great book. Really enjoyed it. This was the reason why I'm doing this episode, because I thought, every time I read one by Preston and Child, it's great. It's just fantastic. So I want to give them a nod. Now, in addition to the books they write together, they write books separately. Here's one by Lincoln Child, which is The Forgotten Room. This is part of a series that he has for a character, and which is the Jeremy Logan series. And I think this is a great book. This was a great, almost like a retro 1950s science fiction story. It wasn't, but it had that feel to it. Really great series that he's doing. And Douglas Preston has some pretty impressive books, too. Here's a really wonderful nonfiction book, Lost City of the Monkey God, that he put out about his archaeological adventure in Honduras. This is in its illustrated hardcover edition. So these two guys have really great credentials, great educational background, great talent as writers. And every time they publish something, I buy it. And they've never failed to entertain me or enlighten me. Enlightenment comes with this nonfiction book, and entertainment with all of their fiction adventure stories. So, if you haven't read Douglas Preston or Lincoln Child separately or together, any of their books, this would be a real good time to do it with The Scorpion's Tail. You can jump right in and do it. This was just great. By the way, I bought this edition from the Poison Pen bookstore, another unsolicited plug, and it was an autographed edition. I've never met these fine gentlemen. Would love to. And so I do have that. If you've watched this video series, you know that I love to get my hands on signed copies of books for authors that I collect. And previously I had bought a signed copy from Barnes & Noble when we still had a Barnes & Noble. There's no bookstore where I live, so I have to do everything on the internet. So that's just the downside. All right, so really, the Pendergast FBI Special Agent Pendergast series is a masterful series. I think it's historic what they've done with it. It's in the grand tradition of crime fiction, thrillers, mysteries. Sherlock Holmes, James Bond, all of those elements combined make this one of the greatest series ever written. And I think it will be highly regarded for forever. It's just, can you tell I'm a big fan? I can't help myself. If you're not sure where to begin, check out their website. They have a really great website, and they send out emails and so forth. You can sign up for that on their website. Just Google Preston and Child or Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. You'll find links to their website, and you can get updates via email on their latest releases. There's another Pendergast novel coming out, I believe, in August. I already have it on pre-order with Amazon. That's how crazy I am. I'm a book hound. All right, so going back, the first Pendergast novel was Relic. Here's the paperback edition. Good place to start if you're not sure, where to start. Pendergast doesn't play a major role in this book or the sequel, Reliquary. But it's a great start to the series, and if you want to get into that, as the series developed, then it took off, and Pendergast became the headliner for the series, the special FBI agent. By the way, he carries a custom 1911 45. Imagine that. So, a very interesting choice of weapons for him. He's such a great character, He's highly intelligent. He has the brains of Sherlock Holmes. He has the enthusiasm and physical ability of a James Bond or any of the great adventure characters, that we've all known and love over the years that I've covered in other episodes. There's so many of them. But Pendergast is number one. I consider, by the way, the Pendergast series to be the number one thriller series out there right now. I know some people are going to say, no, it's this and that. No, I get it. Everybody has their opinion. And I'm the one that has said there are a lot of opinions out there. Opinions are like a can of beans. There's a lot of them, and they cause gas if you have too much of it, okay? So be careful with your opinions. But the Pendergast series and all of the books by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child are worthy of your consideration, especially if you haven't read them yet. I'm actually I started rereading The Cabinet of Curiosities last night. I haven't read it in a couple of years. So they're that good, really. So as you can see, I've gone a little bonkers with it. But I just think they're great. These are great books. Hardcover books are always fun to collect. And they have the best, really good editions with interesting cover artwork and so forth. And I can't praise them enough. So really, for those of you that haven't read them, again, I want to recommend that you do. The current one is The Scorpion's Tail. You can jump right in. You'll learn everything you need to know. Pendergast does make an appearance in this, but this is really a Nora Kelly, Corey Swanson series that they just started. And Nora Kelly is an archaeologist, and Corey Swanson is a rookie FBI agent. And both of these characters go way, way back into the series. They've been around. By the way, the supporting cast in this series is just incredible. You never know who's going to live or who's going to die or who's going to die and come back. You just don't know. They're so well written. Something to aspire to also if you're a writer, to be able to write thrillers this good. It's just phenomenal. Here's a City of Endless Night. Great titles too, aren't they? The title alone, it's like you have to be able to write a good book, but you have to have a title that captures your attention. So I have just the deepest respect for Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. Unusual for me, again, to talk about contemporary authors that I do collect. I do read them avidly, and I collect them. Obviously, I'm surrounded by books here, and this is not quite everything they've done. this is what fit on the table today. So again, I was digging deep for Stuart Edward White coming up right over here, and some other fantastic authors, which is what I normally do, and I'm not going to let you down on that. I've got some fantastic, by the way, 1950s vintage paperbacks. I've got Bloody Beaches and The Glory Jumpers by Delano Stagg coming up. A lot of that post-war literature that I've talked about in so many episodes is not going away as far as a discussion point for this series. I may do some other contemporary authors that I enjoy collecting. There are a couple of them, but this is number one. So you have a lot of work to do if you're going to jump on the Preston and Child bandwagon, and I think it's a bandwagon worth jumping on. All right. Thank you for checking into McNulty's Book Corral. Stay well, stay happy, feed your brain, read a book.